There's a reason your mind keeps looping the same thoughts where your body holds the same pain. And today's guest knows exactly how to break that cycle, which we will get to. Well, which we will get her to reveal in this episode later on. Welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are speaking with Eliana Borosco. Eliana is a heart attunement mentor, energy healer, and founder of Heart of Healing Academy. She helps men and women turn heavy emotions into intuitive guidance by activating the heart's energy field, creating deep emotional and physical healing from the inside out. Welcome to the show, Ellie. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be able to share my experience and my guidance with yourself and with your audience.
I'm actually really excited about this conversation that we're going to have. But let's start out with what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Be truthful to yourself. Ask yourself this question. And I know normally I don't start interviews or podcasts this way, but I really feel that this is what in this iron age we have to ask ourselves, especially considering how the events unfolded in the last 5 years and the turmoil that we have, the inner conflict, the manifesting these outer conflicts that we see everywhere on this planet. Where's my heart? Who am I? Who am I? What do I really want? Who is this person on this planet? What am I here for? And I know you probably think, well, what has it got to do with taking your kids to work or with having that unpleasant conversation with your line manager? Everything. Because more so than before, things and events are moving in a really fast, super fast pace, light speed pace, in fact. And it's really time that we have that really hard conversation with ourselves from the heart. And it's so simple to do this. You could just put a hand on the heart wherever you are, whatever you're doing, especially if the emotions are really having a full grip on you and you can't breathe. It's really time to ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Who am I? What do I want? What do I really desire? Because if you haven't done so now, you will continue to go on forward on this autopilot. And we can't afford to do this. The people on this planet, the humans on this planet, all right, and I'm talking to anyone that is listening to this podcast, you are far too important. You are key. That is the reason why you're here at this point in time to do the spiritual work that you're doing. We need you, and we need you to be one with your heart, one with your purpose. You're not just here because you ended up here by some sort of mistake. No, you are the miracle. You are the special ingredient that makes this world the wonderful thing that it is. Right? The world is so much better off with you in it. And so it's ever so important that you are truthful to your heart, truthful to yourself. And whether that means just taking a breath in your day and saying, you know what, I need to get off this rat race for a moment. I need to take a breath. I need to take a walk in the countryside. I need to plug on social media and watch a funny reel that is going to make me have a really strong belly laugh. Do it. Because there's nothing more powerful than that. That is the real you. And we need the real you right now.
What do you say to people when they're in this process of trying to decide what they really want, but there's that conflict of I'm in this space right now. It's not really comfortable. I'm trying to make a transition, but there's pain involved in it.
There always is. Yeah. Because transition, aka what a lot of people call change, tends to feel painful because you know what you have right now somehow doesn't feel right. So emotions are all over the place. You have a million different thoughts in your day. And probably by now you start getting all sorts of sensations in the body, right? This is my story. I was harboring deeply inside of me this secret. I didn't know it was a secret, but it was really what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't know it then. But harboring that secret, that thing that I couldn't even bring myself to see, to tap into, that special gift that I had, is what got me to become seriously ill. I had a life-threatening illness 13 years ago, actually. In a month, we're getting to the 13-year mark, 13-year anniversary, right? When I'm still here and alive.
Awesome. Glad that you're still here with us.
Yeah, it's a massive thing. And I know a lot of people suffer. A lot of people suffer emotionally and physically because they cannot express who they really are. And so the first stage to understand what it is that turmoil is really by beginning to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. You don't know what it is, begin to feel it. Begin to allow yourself to feel it. You can't express it, take pen and paper. Write down whatever garbled thing comes out. That is so important for healing. And it's so ever important for you to find out what next in life. What is it that you want to do? It's all going to come out, but it has to come out because it's that turmoil state that it's embedded in the tissues in your body that is absorbed in you, but you haven't yet been able to externalize somehow. That is going to prevent you from moving forward and decide, okay, I'm here. Oh, okay, yes, I know now what my next step is going to be. But unless you're willing to have that unpleasant dialogue with yourself, right, which can be unpleasant because there's pain involved, as you said. More often than not, we turn away from things that we don't want to feel because they're so painful. And a lot of people, like I used to do, they distract themselves with so many different things. I was booking appointments with all of my friends. I wanted to busy myself, with going to the theater, going to the movies, going dancing, going. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Mhm.
That busyness, right, is what keeps people stuck. So the opportunity to slow down and actually feel, and I know people think, oh, no, 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 I don't want to go there. That is what is going to spring you forward. But you need to be able to do that. You need to want to do this. Because if you're not, you will be in this loop that we mentioned 10 minutes ago, and you will never come out of that loop. But going into how you really feel, that is a leap of courage. So don't see it as a weakness. And this is really important. Crying, shouting, writing the same things that you feel over and over, that is not an act of weakness. It's just expressing a vulnerability that we all have. Everybody has their vulnerabilities. They might not tell you openly, but they are there. Because unless proven otherwise, we're all human on this planet. So we all feel happiness, we all feel joy, we all have a belly laugh, but we all feel grief and pain and loneliness at some point. And so give yourself the space to change and to express courage by wanting to feel whatever it is that you're unable to express right here and right now. The time is now to do this.
So a lot of people try to think their way out of negative emotions. How do you help clients shift from mental overprocessing into actually feeling and releasing what's in the body?
I help them by showing them how to hold the space for themselves because talk therapy is good. It may work for a lot of people. Personally, it hasn't really worked for myself because I was trying to rationalize something that cannot be rationalized. There's nothing rational about the emotions we feel. There's nothing rational about saying, oh, I'm lonely. Nobody wants me. That was me 13 years ago. I might as well just not exist. No one's going to miss me anyway. You know, there's nothing rational. And someone from outside who's trying to tell you, no, don't think this way. No, think positive. No, you have to move forward, take action. Don't let your feelings overwhelm you. You know where I'm going, right? For people that are really severely impacted by overthinking and overfeeling, not so much overthinking, but overfeeling, it does nothing to help them come out of that state. So, what I actually teach them, and this worked for me, right, is learn to hold that space for yourself. There's nothing more magical and transformational than actually creating a space where you can be yourself 100%. Discover who you are. What are your thoughts? What are your emotions? What are your desires? Express them. Be expressive about it because in this modern world, we're not encouraged to express them. Traditional coaching will tell you, you know what? Uh, you have to move forward despite you feeling this. Don't let your emotions hold you back. No,
That
meaning
does work.
I don't really exactly. And for me, you know, it felt so dismissive because I felt, well, you really don't want to hear what I have to say. You really don't want to hear what I'm feeling. So what on earth am I paying you for? So I knew I needed a space where I could feel that I was okay, that it was safe for me to express how I truly felt. And that's when I decided to do heart attunement. Because despite what everyone else tells you out there, that you should be dealing with your emotions this way, that you should be thinking this way, that you should be thinking that way, that you should be acting despite feeling and thinking that way, the one thing that really worked for me was, well, okay, they're saying that. They're thinking that way. They're giving me this advice that has worked for them. How do I really feel about this? How does this sit inside of me? Because when you discover how this really sit inside of you, then you get to the root cause of all the sensations that you feel in your body. Because the moment you mentally connect with let's say, a phrase that you've seen on social media that may be motivational or inspirational to some people, but with you, it triggers some really unpleasant emotions. Then you start feeling that lump in your throat, that knot in your stomach, or that lower back pain is coming back, and you think, oh, wow, I didn't even make that connection between my physical health and me reading this quote on social media. Oh my God. This is when you begin to realize how you really feel about something. And there's no right or wrong. It's not about saying, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I have to release it. You can't release something that you're feeling unless you can bring yourself to feel okay with what you're feeling, which is a very compassionate way of looking at yourself for maybe the very first time in your life. And no one told you that. Because a lot of people will tell you, yeah, okay, you're feeling this way, but time to move on, girl. I can't move on. But once you learn how to hold that space for yourself, which is what I teach, then you really find how magical you are. and how magical you are at decoding how you really feel about yourself, at releasing that from the body and saying, you know what? I'm okay with this. And if you're not okay, tough. This is the new me. Okay with what I'm feeling, okay with who I am. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect because we all have our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, right? So we would want to be Superman and Wonder Woman, but in reality, we know that's not real. And so you are the new human. You're a pioneer for the people on this planet. Someone that is so courageous to tap into your feelings and express them. You become a beacon of light, not for hundreds, for millions of people who never had the courage to do the same. So this is the imprint that you leave on this planet. And that makes a
So,
difference in your life and theirs as well.
so if somebody's experiencing something like depression or emotional pressure or long-term stress, what are some signs that their heart energy field is asking for attunement? How do people like identify that they need your help?
So I suffer from depression for many years, without knowing. It all sort of came to light 13 years ago when I had this massive illness and all of my friends disappeared, all of my so-called social circles, you know, they completely left me because I couldn't move. So, I was heading into sport, I was working in the city in my busy job. All of that came to a halt in 2012. And so at that point, I had this near death experience. That's what shook me back to reality because I asked myself one question, right? My heart rate was really high. I'd become an insomniac because I wasn't sleeping for months, right? And so I was so sick, I was so much in pain, and I was crying my eyes out day in and out. And I was at that point that I asked myself one question to my heart. And I remember I placed a hand on the heart because I was so emotional. I was crying and, I was so anxious because the trouble with a lot of people that suffer from depression, they suffer from severe anxiety. So they have troubles breathing and sometimes they even have panic attacks. And for anyone that is at a panic attack, when it comes to you, oh my God, you're all over the place. You feel like you're dying, right? Because you feel like the wind is being knocked out of you. And so I remember that night, I placed a hand on my heart and then I said, what is it that you need? Show me what it is that you need because I had already worked out ways that I could actually take my own life. They were painless. Can you believe it? I'd
Oh,
taken
yeah.
pen and paper, writing down the different ways that I could actually take my own life. That you're in the darkest place that you can possibly be when you want to do that. But when I asked myself that question, I closed my eyes and I said, okay, what is it that you need? Because at this point, I'm running out of ideas. And I was really thinking with the left side of my brain a lot, the rational side, the intellectual side, the one that wants to have an answer right there and then, but it wasn't working because I was just racking my brain and nothing was coming through. So at some point, I closed my eyes and I asked myself that question. Tell me what it is that you need because I've given up. This is the last chance that you have to show me that I have a way out of this pain. And when I went in and I closed my eyes, I had this vision of myself 20 years younger, right? And I was actually sitting on a bench in a park. And that person had a dream 20 years prior. And I remember when I was looking at the park from the bench where I was sat, I had this thought that said, no, no, you better go back to just doing the things that you were doing 10 minutes ago or an hour ago. Don't go for that dream because it's really dangerous. And I realized that I was transported back to that moment because I hadn't followed my heart. And I walked away from my dream, from my deepest desires. And I know then, because I started doing a lot of emotional release work, which obviously brought a lot of light to all the events from that day in the park bench, all the attempts to conform to what other people saying around me, to the places that people were frequenting, to the clothes even that I was wearing, because I wanted to be flashy. And I was getting a lot of compliments from people. Oh, you're Italian, you're a great dresser. So I was getting even more affirmations that the things I was saying, that the things I was doing, the way I was behaving, oh, that is the right way that impresses people. And so let's carry on. So I did the right thing to ignore that voice inside of me when I was sat on the park bench. No, because the park bench was saying to me, that's all fluff, you know, follow what is really in your heart. And also, the main thing is because I was squashing away all my feelings of feeling insecure around people, of wanting to desperately fit in with all the different social circles, the sports circles. I was getting a lot of sensations in my body that I was squashing down with taking a lot of pills. So I could numb my senses, I could numb my nervous system, so I could put myself to sleep. Because the two things were going hand in hand, and I hadn't realized that, right? I separated my physical health from my emotions so much that obviously it all came to light when I became really sick in 2012. So that was the realization for me. And so when I started doing emotional release work and heart work, all these visions from my past started coming back because they do come back. You give yourself a window, you start opening a window back into your soul, back into your body through the processing of your emotions. And you start connecting to the memories from your life, not in the way that you find pain, because a lot of people think, oh no, I don't want to go there because it's painful. The memories that you tap into from the space of the heart, they feel so different. That's why I find this work so powerful and so uplifting. It's not going to put you in a space where you feel, oh my God, I don't want to go there, because you feel it's going to make you feel even worse. No.
Right.
You get in a space where you feel, wow, I see the connection now. You feel good about realizing that, about having that insight, about attaining that breakthrough. It makes you feel good because you realize you do it a lot quicker. And in a way that you think, wow, okay, now I can connect the dots for myself. So that's what makes it so special. And so from there, it's been history. Because a lot of people think the heart is just poetic thing. You know, a lot of poets talk about the heart, a lot of artists talk about the heart. But in relation to recovering the physical health, they think, yeah, right. No, it's everything, because the heart is the central intelligence. It's the central intelligence that actually helps you decode the body language, how the body really speaks to you, how the body stores some sensations for you the moment you mentally connect to something from your past, or the moment you mentally connect to something that you have to experience in the next 3 days, like you have an event that is planned, a conversation that you would rather avoid, and boom, you connect to the heart, and the body begins sending you all these sensations. And you begin to realize the connection between how you really feel and the sensations that, come from the body, because you're absorbing that experience. You're internalizing it so much that the body now is telling you, whoa, would you look at this? Would you look at what is happening to you? So it's time for you to address how you really feel. This is the missing link. And so
Love
that's why I decided to create this umbrella of the heart work that I do, but in a way that I help people release the emotions. And by releasing them, all the weight from the body begins to being lifted. and moved out of the physical body into the space where they feel pain-free and stress-free and tension-free from the body. Because once you start releasing that tension, you're talking about inflammation, right? You're talking about some serious inflammation that causes some serious side effects like migraines, digestive systems issues, headaches, joint aches, and even worse things like autoimmune diseases. Because a lot of people that suffer from a lot of recurring illnesses, like I had, they can't make heads or tails of it. They've tried this, they've tried that, they tried that. But the core thing is where your emotions actually are stacked in the body tissues. This is the key differentiator. This is the real missing link.
Do you help people in community, like in groups, or do you help them a one-on-one? How does your coaching actually look?
Both. So some people prefer to have the community feeling,
Mhm.
right? Because again, you're powerful when you're on your own, but together in a group, they are aligned to actually heal in the same way. They are sort of feeling challenged emotionally and physically at the same time. Boom, you get stronger. And a lot of people love to connect to people that are feeling the same way because they can touch base, they can share experiences, they can share emotions, they can share their life stories. But of course, a lot of people are very private about how they feel. And they don't feel at ease with sharing it with other people, especially people in a community like an online community that have just met. So I work with both one-to-one clients because some people love to have this very intimate, personal one-on-one touch. And obviously we got a lot deeper in a one-to-one touch base than actually in a group community because, everybody has to sort of have their fair
Share
share
you.
of space. Absolutely. So it's not, there is no, you know, special recipe. It's up to how the person really feel because we all deserve to be in a space where we're all feeling heard and feel respected for what we're feeling and who we are. And, the community that I've created has that recipe because coming from a space where I felt really hyper vigilant myself and highly emotional, I wasn't really going to go out to complete strangers just about anywhere because it would be a big no for me. No way I can go to a private party that I don't know anyone. No, 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 no way. I have to have 20 camomiles in my day to go there. And even then I'll still be very hyper vigilant. So I know what people feel like when they are looking for a space where they can feel safe, where they can feel seen and valued just as they are, even if they come with their messages that feel really garbled, where they're unable to voice them, where they just feel like they need to vent. This is the space that I've created because we value them just as they are. And then healing takes place just in the presence of the circle because they find nothing but a compassionate and supportive environment. Kindness from the heart is so special because extending kindness to someone that is suffering, and I was missing that. I missed that a lot when I became really ill. You really need that to know that you are amazing just as you are, that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to be given the guidance to be able to process your emotions so you can heal when you're ready to.
Earlier, we mentioned that persistent emotional pain often shows up as looping thoughts and tension held in the body. Can you walk us through how someone can begin to break that cycle and reconnect with the heart so healing can actually begin?
Yes, and that's very important because if you're not really ready to sort of look at what happens in this cycle, you will constantly react to things rather than acting. So, one of the key exercises that I do in my community or my private one-to-one sessions is what I call the heart recalibration. And that's why I run them on Monday nights. They're free to attend, but I run them on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. GMT. So I'm not sure really about the time zone in your part of the world. But they're free
Think it's
sessions, and
six hours. You're 6 hours ahead of Eastern for people in the
five,
US and
five at the
Canada.
moment. Five at the moment, yeah.
Okay, five at the moment.
Because we moved to GMT just last weekend. But what we do them at the beginning of the week because I want everyone to feel that they can actually realign their heart energy to the events and the conversations that they're going to have in the week ahead. And so this heart attunement technique is just very simple. I just bring them in a space of the heart with some breath work, and we look at the emotional state. And so by doing so, they create from within this very nourishing, very soothing space where they can just drop in to this space and actually slow down. And that releases the tension that potentially unknowingly, they don't even know. Maybe they think, oh, it's Monday. I've got 4 days and I can get that I'm stressed on Friday night and I'm completely wiped out by the time I get to Saturday. So I'm going to have to cancel all of my movies, my dancing evenings, my social things because I'm completely wiped out. No, it starts with Monday morning. And a lot of people that are triggered emotionally, they don't even know that their blood pressure has skyrocketed on Monday night or their nervous system is hyper vigilant and they're so triggered. So by coming to the space, they can just literally drop that mask, drop into their own energy, reset the nervous system, get into the space of calm, build it for themselves, feel what it feels to be confident in that state because they connect to the real self, the real them that they probably have forgotten about in decades, and get to a space where they feel, okay, yeah, this is me, you know? And usually the people that come to my sessions, they usually all have a fantastic night's sleep because, the session is designed to calm the nervous system and to calm the mind, to stop the thoughts from racing and the emotions as well, to kind of take a backstage. And that's where the body actually takes the center stage. Because once you kind of calm the nervous system and once you let the heart energy expand, the body does exactly what it's meant to be doing at night, which is regenerate. Because the immune system, and anyone that is into the scientific aspect of this or the medical aspect, they will know that the immune system regenerates at night. What happens at night? We sleep. So that's when the immune system is supposed to do the work. So Monday morning, we're going back to wake up at 5, 6, or 7, whenever we wake up, whenever we get out of bed. And the immune system, again, is supposed to be 100% working for us, which we know is not that. Because, like myself, I was suffering from digestive issues, insomnia, headaches. And so I was taking so many pills. And then on top of that, you've got the stress of your week, the stress of your days with your family, with work, with bills, with taxes, etc., etc., etc. So this is my key technique that I share with anyone. And anyone that experienced that within a space of 10 or 15 minutes, they think, wow, I feel like I'm in a totally different space. I didn't even know that I could feel this way. And that releases all the panic state, the states of anxiety. I can also bring people that are suffering from panic attacks into this state and actually feel it for themselves, because it's important that people feel that they have this power from within, and they can, if they want to, if they choose to, they can allow the body to follow their inner guidance. All right, so I hope this answered your question.
It did totally. So people can join your free heart recalibration sessions you hold them on Mondays,
Yes, once a month.
once a month. Okay, and they can find out more about that by going to heart, no, lightfrequencies.co.uk/your heart healing force, correct?
Yes, yes, that's the link. Yeah, and then they'll automatically sign up. The sessions are free. They can sign up and then they're going to get an email with the date, the time, and the Zoom link to join us. And usually the replay for anyone that is kind of outside of the GMT area, I have the replay available for 48 hours. So they can listen to it just before they go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very helpful too. Thank you so much, Ellie, for joining us today. This has been really interesting, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
You can learn more about Ellie and join her free heart recalibration sessions by visiting lightfrequencies.co.uk / your heart healing force. And I'll make sure I put that in the link in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in with us today. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.